Buenos nachos, amigos. Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to Record Breakers. The music
fired
podcast
up for this one, Petey. Let's get wound up for this.
It's late. Cut the guy a break. It's late.
You literally just like, whoa, let's pump it up, everybody. You got the crowd all hyped up, and you go to hit it. It's Yohnstown. Population Drew.
All right. This is a music podcast where we share with each other, a group of friends, sharing an album at a time, week after week, hopefully. Then we talk about it. I'm Peter Rape, your man window plan. Here with me is, of course, my team, my crew, my squad. We got Brett.
Yeah, it is getting late. You know, Wheel of Fortune Jeopardy's over, so it's about nap time.
Yeah, we've got Drew.
Fuck you.
And we've got Patrick.
Hi.
Yes. We're here to talk about music. And we're talking about an album. And the provider of this album is none other than that rapscallion, Brett. Brett, what do you got for us this week?
Sorry, I'm going to get trolled all the entire show. Drew just has to fake yawn, and I'm just going to... we've got an album that is very near and dear to my heart. It came at the right time for me. I had parts of this album on a single. This is the Presidents of the United States of America and their self-titled album. And boy, it is a hootenanny.
Mm-hmm. And a hullabaloo as well. I mean, we all are pretty familiar with this band and probably this album for the most part. But let's talk about some expectations. Drew, what were your expectations coming into this album?
I'm pretty familiar with this band. One of the songs on this album is probably this first song I remember knowing literally all of the lyrics to, not just the chorus. I'm familiar with the Basitar and the Guitbass, so it's something that I haven't listened to this band in a while. I remember listening to some of the stuff they put out with Sir Mix-a-Lot a while back, just out of curiosity, but I haven't listened to this album in quite a bit, so I was excited to jump back in and see how it aged.
Yeah. Patrick, what were your expectations coming into this album?
I could have written the notes for this without listening to this album again. This is one of my favorite things ever. I love this record. I literally, normally when we do this show, I have to listen to the album several times before I make notes. I just sat down some time ago, put this album on for the first time in a couple of months, and was like, this is a happy place. And wrote my notes up.
Yeah, there are several songs on this that are on regular rotation to this day for me. So I'm familiar with this, quite a bit of this album, not the whole of it, but quite a bit of this album. That is for sure. Brett, how would you describe this album musically? What would be the themes and elements?
Well, musically, this album is minimalistic, simple, and absurd. It is proof that you don't need to have intelligible lyrics to have a funky song. You can just mumble gibberish if you've got a good enough hook. And there are parts of this. We're talking about a band that wrote a song about the lady who's on the packages of Land O'Lakes butter. That this is an album that covers such of the heaviest topics, such as a salamander that goes under a couch and you find it later, or
kittens.
Kittens. Inspired by kittens.
Like fucking kitten. Sorry.
I don't believe that song's about that, but who am I? But there's something about this song. Because I was in the 5th grade when this, when I first heard this album, I remember going to a Washington, D.C. trip, and I had Weird Al's Bad Hair Day and this album that I had borrowed from somebody. So I got the Gump Lump, duo there.
Yeah.
But, it was a very time and place. And to think that this album came after Weezer's Blue Album blows my mind. Like the songs sound a little fresher to me than 90s, mainly because there's not a whole lot going on here. There's like, the very minimalist drum kit. They ain't got a complete guitar between the two of them. And, it's a pretty strange thing. But like what is eternal is the grooves, the hooks, the songwriting, the way that they do layer the vocals. It is timeless, always.
Yeah,
forever. If this album came out today and they were playing them on like, E is eternal, Drew. Yes, let's not.
Yes,
but 99. So you gotta make sure. But yeah, this album, you could make this album today and have as much fun with it as they did when they weren't old men.
Yeah. There's just so much that is still engaging, it's still super fun, and it's just timeless. Drew, how would you describe this album musically? What would be the theme song that caught your attention?
Fucking weird. That's how I would describe it. But to me, also, the President of the United States, especially this record in particular, to me is just, while yes, it does sound fresher than some of their contemporaries because of the weirdness, it is still something that is like, to me, just that nostalgic 90s feel. This band had two of possibly the biggest hits period of the era. Like, they were something that they were weird and they were way different than their contemporaries, but at the same time, it's still something that parts of it just scream like that 90s, like college garage rock thing, which is great. It's quirky. It's different. There is no sprawling per se, but if there was one, there wasn't anything that stood out. But the fact that, like Brett said, they don't have a full guitar between them. They have two guitars that if you took them apart and repurposed them, you could probably get a full bass and a full guitar, but neither of them are playing that. It has really catchy songs. The guitar tone at times very much told you, hey, this was a Seattle band in the 90s, but at other times it was doing something way different than that. It's something that just you put on and it's just an easy listen. It's sort of, if you're diving into this for lyrics that are going to take you on a trip and talk about temples and space and far-flung years, you're not going to get that. You're going to get something that's just, it's simple, fun music by people who had fun making it.
It's almost like they were doing the wrong drug for the 1990s.
Yeah.
This album does not scream heroin addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They found their own drug.
It's called Animals.
They want a new drug.
Yes. Yes. Patrick.
Yes.
Patrick, what would be the theme song that caught your attention? How would you describe the song musically?
In my dream world, instead of all current alternative rock bands basically sounding like Weezer plus Stone Temple Pilots, all alternative rock bands that still exist would sound like the Presidents. They are pure magic. I like, we did Pusa 2, their second record, which I enjoy, but now we're like here with My Happy Place. Like, you talk about like the concept of albums you would take to a desert island with you, like that you're stuck with forever. This is probably going to make my list if it's 8-10 records, because I just, this album is like Brett said, this is not heroin rock. This is probably really, really, really good weed, and just it's very joyous in a way that music from this era rarely is.
Edible rock.
They're rock music from this era. There's no
rock as in smoking it.
Yeah, these guys like
that's George Clinton. That's different era of music.
But there's just not. There is no misery to be found here. There is no like. There's just. It is silly and not serious, but also like really, really well put together in that like this is we're gonna take as many parts away from a band in terms of musical instruments as possible and leave just the bare amount you need to make a rock record, and they did it, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and there's just so much fun in this album musically. There's just so much unadulterated fun. Good old rock and roll, good times.
Like, is this a what genre would you put this in out of its decade? Is this just rock music?
Yeah.
Is this what rock and roll is?
It's just
I want more of it.
Rock music.
Because it doesn't. I don't think it fits post grunge.
And it's not Seattle music. Like, it's not Seattle.
I think it's
right. It's got
alternative
it's got
with
some
a heavy
of the
dose
tone,
of
but it doesn't have any of the like.
Some of the elements, some of the theme, but not all of it.
It's alternative rock, but with like sort of punk ethics.
This album maybe it has flannel in its closet, but it doesn't wear it that often.
Yeah,
it wears flannel when it's chill.
When it's appropriate.
Flannel is only for chilly days.
Yes, exactly. Where's flannel when it's appropriate for the weather? I think that's the perfect analogy.
We're describing music as this band wears flannel when appropriate.
Exactly. Another moment where it's almost a shame that we don't title episodes, because that would be the episode title.
Flannel when appropriate.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's talk about some.
Flannel is the name of my President of the United States cover band.
Let's talk about some of the key tracks. Brett, let's talk about some of the key tracks. What do you got? What are some of the key tracks for you?
Well, let me just tell you right now that when I listen to this album, there are 2 songs that I skip. So we aren't going to talk about those 2 songs because I heard those songs so many times, I'll never have to hear them again. But I do enjoy how this has probably one of the best opening tracks in my mind right now. Kitty. It's a song that is totally about wanting to pet a cat and having to deal with the inevitable scratches. I like how like part of the musical wonder is a guy going meow, and if you listen to like the demo of it, like the meows are a lot like more actually from a cat and more integral to the sound of the song. But like, yeah, I enjoy Kitty a whole lot. And then you roll right into Feather Pluckin', which it's a song that's fun. Like it's like they had, an idea and they're like, hey, I got this awesome groove. What can we? Bug-eyed monkeys. Okay. What else we got? An elephant. Just come up with things that fit. You got syllables to fill. It's like our haikus. Let me count this out. I got to do and there are other songs on here that I'm really into, but Body is the song that I really is an example of. I guarantee that they sat down and they're like, man, I got this awesome chorus. Like, can't get your body out of my mind. They're like, okay, we need to write some verses. Can't get your body out of my mind. Okay, so let's talk about corpses of our dead small pets that we found.
Can't get your body.
For a song that could be about anything about bodies, they chose 3 small critters that got all crusty, and I think that's great. And when it comes to these songs in particular, you could probably put together why I'm attracted to bands such as this and, let's say They Might Be Giants, or, bands that, don't have vocalists.
Yeah.
I enjoy music without any of the seriousness.
Yes.
Give me all the fluff and none of the meat. And there's a whole lot of that. Give me a whole Frosty I don't even need a real food product.
Yes, exactly.
This is just give me that straight, uncut like fluff. It's pretty great.
Give him the Guess Who. They have the
That's
courage
right.
to be drunken buffoons, which makes them poetic.
Thank you, Petey.
True. What would be some of the key tracks for you?
Brett's right on Kitty being a great opening song. And why that is to me though is a little bit different. Because if you start off a record and you don't know what you're getting into, and you get to the song and the background is actual guys meowing and you're not on board, you're wrong. It's okay to be wrong, leave. But like, you know, in that song, are you on board with this? Are you cool with this? All right, cool. Let's do the rest of the thing we're gonna do. When the feather plucking, I just want to mention the name. That's funny to me. But I'm going to do I'm going to do both songs that he skips.
That's not saying that they're bad songs.
No,
just I was exposed.
I understand. But like Lump, easy chorus to sing to, simple drum beat. Like if you were a kid in the '90s, you were doing some air guitar to this. Like the Lump was a song, right?
And so was Gump.
Peaches. Yeah.
Gump was probably just about as important of a song.
It is. I get a lot of hate for not liking Weird Al a whole lot. Gump is probably one of the 3 Weird Al songs that I can like fully get behind.
Drew, your respect levels. I don't know that I can.
We've had this conversation.
You come in here yawning, and then you come besmirching the fine name of Mr. Al Yankovic. Jeez.
I will say one cool thing.
Fucking
cool fun
millennials.
fact. Cool fun fact.
Mr. Yankovic.
Cool fun fact is for those that don't know, there was a time, I don't know if they still do it, but there was a time where the presidents of the United States actually ended would end Lump like Weird Al ends Gump with and that's all I have to say about that. Just as a kind of a tribute, kind of a reimagining tribute, which is awesome. Like, yeah. But yeah, as you were saying, Drew.
I respect the Yankovic. I'm not a huge fan of the humor all of the time. Thanks.
Revisionist history.
Peaches is the song that I loved that song. I love that song so much. It's probably one of the 2 songs my sister remembers me putting on repeat for no reason all of the time, always. The other one we won't mention here because it makes me look like an idiot. But Peaches was great. The warbly guitar tone, the lyrics were funny to me. There was like the harsh drops and the like crunchy alt rock. Look, it is not only one of my favorite 90s songs, it's a song about one of my favorite fruits, whether it be in a can or a pie.
Could you eat it for hours?
Yeah, I could eat a peach for hours.
There you go.
But,
thank you.
I see. I don't know if I could eat a peach for hours, but I'd eat a couple.
That'd be really hard.
I don't know if I'd prolong.
Nicolas Cage on the line and be like, okay,
yeah. Could you
explain
a peach for hours? I could eat multiple peaches. I could spend hours eating peaches.
There must be some other meaning to this that we're not picking up on.
Well, it's the way he can like make it last. But moving on, Drew. let you conclude, Drew.
Stop doing that, Pete. But there was one other song I wanted to mention. Since I did 2 easy ones. We're Not Going to Make It. We're Not Going to Make It, to me, like, captured that same energy that like a late 90s like skate punk, like pop punk jam would have. Like, it captured that energy in like a totally like radically different sound, which is awesome to me. There's something that's pure fun about that song in particular, and like that idea that they wrote this song while they were making this record, probably not not knowing really that probably Lump and Peaches were going to be giant, huge things. And that song's on there, like 2 songs later. Like, that's awesome. I love that shit.
Yeah. Patrick, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Lump and Peaches. I won't go into too much other than Peaches to me is the best justification for alternative rock as a genre. This is the best that it ever had to offer. It's a weird song. It makes no sense. It's not about anything. It gives 0 fucks and it's perfect. And it should be held in higher regard. And I understand I've been listening to that song since this record came out, and I could see how one might get sick of it, but I just don't. This is one of those albums I could do the Drew thing and talk about all the songs, but I won't.
You're gonna do the Drew thing and talk shit about Weird Al?
No, I adore Weird Al.
While yawning,
Weird Al is a national fucking treasure.
Damn right it is. We can agree on that.
Yes. Dune Buggy. I like songs about cars, especially ones that aren't really about cars, but it kind of is. It's weird. It has these like dissonant bent chords. The lyrics are like wonderfully absurd. Everything about this album could be summed up in the sort of wonderfully absurd as a genre of music. But that is, if I had to pick like a favorite, that's probably it on here. And Back Porch. Because why is there this random vaguely country song on here? Kind of makes me wish cowpunk would make a comeback. Cowpunk was a genre of music and it should come back because I don't know, everything else comes back eventually. And yeah. And the only Seattle thing on this whole record is that Kim from Soundgarden plays on Naked and Famous, which is I just find hilarious. Do you think when Kim came and sat down to play that song on the record, do you think he played a bass guitar or a get bass? Because I need to know. You know, person who wrote, how many great songs. Like, I'm just gonna come play with these fucking weirdos with their, they got 5 strings between them on 2 guitars.
Yeah.
But
plenty of splash cymbals.
Yes,
they're great. They're Sabians.
Yeah, yes. So I've heard.
I literally I have shopped for the specific cymbal that he has because when I get an acoustic kit again, I'm having an El Sabor Sabian splash. Maybe 2.
Yeah. I want to do a couple things. I'm tickled by the sentence I'm seeing in the Wikipedia for this album, which is accordionist Duck Mandu, Jason Seaman and covered Lump on his compilation Quack Rock 5 Duckades of Accordion Mega Hits.
Okay, we've got a new album that we're gonna have to listen to.
Is that the new sports?
We're canceling this album. We're gonna go back and we're gonna listen to that album, and nobody's gonna know why. Yeah. Nobody's gonna know what when flannel is appropriate.
Yes. Yes. Also, Kitty, Lump, Peaches, and Dune Buggy are songs that I've sang in karaoke countless times.
Everything about this record is perfect. There's not a bad song on here. There's not one bad one.
But let's talk about some conclusive thoughts. Drew, what would be your conclusion on this album?
I think this album is one of those albums that captures a great place in time. And it's something that, to me, still holds up today. It's something that's absolutely fantastically fun. And it's something that if you haven't heard the presence of the United States of America yet, fix it. Just fix it. Because you want to talk about American treasures. They are American treasures. Like that. It's inventive and weird for the sake of having fun and making good music at the end of the day. And it's something that's all that I think anyone should want out of a band is just making fun music at the end of the day. And they do it really well.
Patrick, what would be your conclusion on this album?
I have this obsession with the notion of a perfect album, an album that has no bad songs, that is enjoyable to listen to front to back, that is best to listen to when you hit play on song one and you don't stop until it's over. And this is about as good as they get. This era of music is, ripe for the picking of really, really good albums. But again, like, it's a lot of misery and heroin. This is just pure joy, and also an MC5 cover. Like, it is simultaneously like punk rock as fuck in its simplicity and its lack of fucks giving, but like they're also, like, again, 5 strings between them, but like they're kind of really good musicians. Like not like, crazy super talent, but like they make really good music, both in terms of writing and just how it sounds and how it comes out. So go listen to this album. Go listen to it 100 times. Catch up with us. Get on our level.
Get on my level. No, it is just a fantastic record. It's so much fun to listen to and bounce around to, and like, I remember when these songs came out, and they were just so perfect even back then, and they're still just so perfectly fun and silly and catchy, and this whole record just puts a smile on my face. Like, is so many times, and it's an album. There's songs that are still present in my life. They just are. But yeah, Brett, what would be your conclusion on this album?
I enjoy this game as much today as I did when I was playing it in Zach Wilson's living room while we played Mortal Kombat on his Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
This is a really, really great album. It has always spoken to me in a special way. It might not for you, but that's your loss, buddy. This album is pretty great. It gets the Good Housekeeping seal of approval and is certified stank. It gets 3 yawns out of 14 from Drew, which it's pretty great. If you weren't there when it happened, like, this is something that, like, I bet kids these days don't really get their presidents of the United States of America fed to them like we had it fed to us by MTV when it came out. Boy, this was a regular rotation kind of fucking album.
Yeah.
That isn't anymore. You don't pick up the CD jacket in the back of your friend's Buick and find this anymore. Yeah. Nor do you find Buicks or CDs.
Nor CD jackets.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an experience you ought to have.
I almost bought a Buick.
The funny thing is, my car has a CD drive because I have a car now. It's exciting. And what's inside of it is the mount for my phone magnet. Because I got a phone magnet that goes into your CD drive, and you can turn the thing, and it expands up and down.
Yeah.
I got one of those.
I'm
going to get rid of it when this Kenwood deck comes in.
I hear Petey got a car.
Yeah,
is how many P's? 144 hertz?
Are you a 1440p?
Yeah.
You ultra wide on the car?
I'm happy for you, Petey. I'm happy for
Pete,
you.
Rory.
Yes. I'm excited. But yeah, this is a great album. So let's bring it to our haiku reviews. Bring it downtown.
Downtown? In poetic form?
Yes.
Oh.
Let's do some haikus. Let's get to it. Drew, what is your haiku?
An old favorite. Glad to go back to this one. Thanks for that one, Brett.
Patrick, what is your haiku?
I forgot to yawn.
All-time great record. The best of alternative. Wonderfully absurd.
Yes.
I'd like to officially redact the last line of my haiku.
Hey, I may have forgotten it, but I still didn't. So
yes. All right, my haiku. Does the most with less. Making fun and catchy rock with quirk and humor. Brett, what is your haiku?
I brought you some fun. Take nothing seriously. Greatest album ever.
Exactly. Yes. Those are our thoughts on Presidents of the United States of America, the album Presidents of the United States of America. There's I forgot there's thes in there. I only put half the thes that they belong.
Yeah.
Go check that out on our Spotify playlist. Play Record Breakers, a home game. You can of course find next week's album, which is going to be provided by Drew. Drew, what do you got for us next week?
Well, I decided to go with something that is a little bit strange, but something I think is worthwhile to listen to. I usually don't go to France for my music, but sometimes there's some electronic-made music out of that way that is worth listening to. So we're going to dive into Kavinsky with his album Outrun.
Kavinsky.
Don't get confused with the Sega soundtrack with a similar name. This is
that Yu Suzuki hit.
Yeah.
Not Shinmu, buddy. We're pumping quarters, driving a Ferrari.
Exactly. So yeah, go look forward to that next week.
Ferrari on itself.
Yes. But that's next week, and this is this week. You can, of course, find us all over the internet. Patrick is at the Swagger. Brett is at HeyBeatBearBird, HIBBITYBIBBARD. Drew is at X2SuperX. I'm at PD Rave. The show is at 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4 Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. RecordBreakersPodcast@gmail.com if you want to email us. Rebelli.net for this and other shows. Rebelli TV on YouTube and on Twitch. Look for us everywhere. We're podcasts are there. We're there too. Like, subscribe, share, do all the things. Until next time. Hasta los huevos. And that's all we have to say about that.